We're live,
We're live,
back in action
back in action.
with Law 45 from the 48 Laws of Power on this Monday, fine Monday morning.
Yeah, beautiful day.
So, Law 45
Wow.
is preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. Everyone understands the need for change in the abstract, but on the day to day level, people are creatures of habit. Too much innovation is traumatic and will lead to revolt. If you are new to a position of power or an outsider trying to build a power base, make a show of respecting the old way of doing things. If change is necessary, make it feel like a gentle improvement of the past. And that's Law 45 from Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power, which is to preach the need for change but never reform too much at once. Um, so first thing I mean in researching the law, I think, where have I seen this in my life, um I don't know if you want to open up, or I can share
Go for
where
it.
I've seen it.
Go for it.
One of the things that is kind of near and dear is um my high school. And the high school that I went to implemented a change that drastically, in my opinion, negatively affected the high school in that time. And that change was the removal of the fifth year, as you know.
Are we able to name the high school, or do you think?
We'll go without naming it for now.
Okay.
Um,
So the fifth year was exactly what? So our
the
viewers don't. It wasn't a regular high school,
It wasn't. It was like a trade high school.
and it had 4 years.
You had 4 years, but if you did a fifth year, you would go into college as a junior.
Correct.
So you were able to skip a year,
Right. And it
and
was
that fifth year you did in high school.
okay. And it was like a trade school.
Correct.
You did
And
material
so,
science, right?
yeah, I did material science. So what happens is that one year, um, the school decides not to continue this fifth year program, which was a big reason why they were able to recruit so many kids, because uh, people like this idea. Not everybody did the fifth year, and later on we find out there wasn't a lot of enrollment in that fifth year. But we actually have a good friend of mine did the fifth year, and he explained that he got into college as a junior. He finished much faster, and it was a good thing for him. But they went about, the reason I'm connecting this to Law 45 is because they cold turkey removed this program. That's what I'm getting to.
Right.
The reaction was very bad,
Yes.
uh, from
I remember.
the parents, from the teachers, and then from the students, because there were some students that that's one of the things that they were looking forward to. And the only reason I bring it up, and I don't have to get super detailed into it, the only reason is because people understand there's a need for change in the abstract. But when it comes to the day to day, we're creatures of habit, right?
Right.
Too much innovation is traumatic and leads to a revolt. Well, one of the things that I remember was the year that they implemented that change. The following year, 40 teachers left this school, and this wasn't a big school. And
40 teachers left the school.
that's what I remember hearing.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
40 teachers were leaving. And then all of a sudden, a lot of kids that were in my class, because I was a freshman, the following year, our class had dwindled down quite a bit.
Oh,
And so I think what happened was that the parents got upset. Hey, we sent our son here for this, partially for this reason, and now you remove it cold turkey. You didn't even give my son the opportunity to, since they were already in the high school, finish that fifth year.
right.
So, I have a lot of love for my high school, my alma
Sure.
mater.
Sure.
However, this was something that amongst all of peers, friends, it was a very, very, everyone admits it was done very poorly. And I think this is an example of, if you don't see, in the corporate world, I remember hearing the word sunset. If you don't sunset a program and do it in a process that's like over time, you just remove it, you amputate it overnight, you're gonna get a revolt, and I think that's what happened. The high school to this day is struggling, I believe, because of this decision that they made,
Oh, wow.
along with other things that are.
So you think that it affected it so much, it just,
I graduated 18 years ago,
wow,
right? In 2008. So 16 years ago.
16 years
16
ago.
years ago. And I still think it's affected the school. This change took place though in 2004,
It
5.
shook the system to its core, the
Yeah.
structure, huh?
Oh yeah.
Who could argue it? I mean, I'm sure that it could be argued, but I remember that very, very well. And I'll tell you this, this was an all boys school, okay?
A
Um,
private Catholic school.
very well known. And um, as a parent, I'll tell you that you and your brother flourished there. You guys sprung up. I think that the school did a fantastic job in bringing out the best of both of you. And
I
I have
agree.
nothing but good memories about the school, the teachers, everything was positive,
Me too. Me too.
except, yeah, except how they got rid of the fifth year.
Yes, I think that overall the experience was excellent. But when you make a change like that, so drastic, some people just say, I'm out. We stayed and we had the wonderful experience that we
Right,
had at this
right,
school.
right.
And like you said, flourished. And I feel that too, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, I saw it when you had to, they had a program, they had this, it's call it a program where the freshmen or the sophomores had to do like the open house for the incoming freshmen or something
Right.
like that. And you had to, get in your gown, what was it, the
The
white,
smock.
and then speak to the parents that were coming in. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
Parents were coming in making decisions on where to bring their children. You're picking high schools and you had to speak to them, so you had to tell them, hey, this is what we do here, blah blah blah. Not necessarily push the school too much, but tell them what you
Yeah.
guys did. And I'm sure
It
that
made you grow. It was a good
it was
experience.
a good experience.
And prior to this change taking place 16 years ago, whenever it did, 2004,
Well, you didn't have the option of
2005.
going into the fifth year.
No, but 2005 or so when this change took place. But prior to that, the school has a lot of history. The school is an excellent school,
Right,
and
right.
I think everyone that goes
So
there.
what happened here, getting
I'm
back
just
to the
talking
law,
about what
the law.
the law.
Yeah, the law says, hey, you need to make some changes, but don't make them too abruptly or don't
Correct.
make too much all at once
Correct.
because it's not going to be
Taken well.
taken well.
Yeah.
And just to finish on that thought here, they could have gotten rid of the fifth year in a much better way if there was some thought put into it. I know it's about money and issues with money and politics and red tape and all this stuff and accreditation from the state and all that stuff, but it could have been done in a better way.
Yeah.
And that is the essence for this law. If you're going to make some changes, there should be a lot of thought put into it
Yeah.
so that the change, it's nice and smooth. It's like a wave. It's a small wave that
Yeah.
catches people. If you have a tsunami, because you just go and you cut, it's a tsunami.
It's the example of the boiling frog.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You gradually raise the temperature, right? That's an experiment, and the
Hmm.
dog the frog doesn't realize that the temperature is going up. That's the way that I understand it
Yeah, yeah.
until the
She's in
point,
the frying pan and the temperature's going up, and
but it's gradual,
right, and she's adjusting to it until you end up cooking her.
right? I mean, that's the if you're gonna use this law and you're running a team or you're in business and you're trying to implement some sort of change or any organization like I'm talking about my alma mater, but you have to be really careful when you implement that change. Um,
I hear you. And Robert Greene is on it. Like, I mean, this is a very important law.
yeah,
Yeah, it could destroy, it could topple down a corporation that's been there for, years and years and years.
Hundreds of years.
Yeah, it could take a business down.
Absolutely.
So you need to be very careful how you implement these changes.
What change is inevitable, which is what you said earlier
Yeah,
before we went live.
right.
And you've experienced being what 40 years in business, in the insurance industry, in real estate, in different careers.
Oh my God.
You've tried a lot of different things in
Yeah.
sales and you've seen different changes. I mean, I've only been in sales a much shorter period of time, but I've also seen a lot of change.
Well, you've seen a lot because you've been around for a long time because you grew up in the bit. But the thing is that, for example, any business that's alive today, it's going to get hit from 20 different directions at all times. If it's not something that legislature changes, because our legislature is changing constantly, the dynamics of many businesses,
Yep.
especially insurance and real estate, which is what we're in. Look what's going on with the real estate business right now, where the buyer's agents' commissions apparently are going to get abolished. Okay. And that's a
Major change.
that's a huge change in the
Yeah.
development of this business. Okay. Um, some people are extremely worried about it. Others are not so much. But it's definitely a change that's coming down and it's inevitable.
AI,
Also,
internet, all these changes that are coming in. I mean, AI replacing potentially different positions. $20 minimum wage just got
implemented.
implemented in April 1st, I believe.
And unfortunately, a bunch of places have closed down because of that. Apparently, the owners say, "Hey, I can't afford it."
Yeah, California minimum wage
Yeah, it was last week,
to increase to $20 an
$20.
hour.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that just took place, right?
Correct.
So change is inevitable, and I think that that's what I really like about this law. I really do like it because it's inevitable, but how you handle this when you're the leader of an organization or just in general, how you handle it, can make or break you, I think, like you said.
Oh,
Um,
let me tell you, it's a big deal. I can share something with you.
yeah.
Um, so, this is Law 45, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I relate this a lot with Law 25, which is to recreate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
When you're recreating yourself, okay, uh, you're also making a lot of changes, okay? But now you're doing it to yourself as an individual,
Right.
okay? And so I'll share something personal with you and our viewers. I took Law 25 very, very seriously in my life because we're pouring our hearts and soul into this podcast. And we're talking about our experiences in business, relate them to the 48 laws of power. But I thought, well, we're living the 48 laws of power. So when we got to Law 25, I told myself, I'm going to do something to recreate myself, something different. And what I came up with was to take a metal fabrication class. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've never worked with metals before. I've never welded before. I've, you know, never done any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm gonna take this course. Okay. And it's serious business because one person said, well, you're doing it for fun, but there's a lot of young people that are trying to get into this class so they can advance in their jobs. And I thought, wow, I don't want to be taking somebody's spot, you know. And then I spoke to a few more people and they said, that's not exactly all the case. There's a lot of openings. You can take it. I even went to see the instructor at his business. And I said,
Right.
hey, look, I know nothing about this. Absolutely nothing. So if I'm concerned, maybe I'll hurt somebody if we're in a group setting. And he says, no, If you don't know anything, you're a clean canvas. That's what he told me. You're a clean canvas, and I can teach you the right way of doing things so you don't learn the wrong way. I don't have to unlearn you. And so he encouraged me to take the class, and I have, and I think we're more than halfway through it now. It's been tremendous. But why do I bring it up? Because,
You're covering the mic.
I'm sorry, why do I bring it up? Because it was a big change in my life. And I'm here to tell you it's been very difficult. Not the class, but sticking to the times, the days that I have to attend class, uh, trying to learn a few little things outside of the class. We really don't get homework, but it's been a tremendous change for me because now I have to go to class, I have to listen to the teacher, I have to, you know, so it was like diving into a swimming pool, but on the deep end, okay? Not like diving, on the 3 or 4 foot end and then try to swim to the. It was like going all the way in, and it was a commitment that I made. And you need a tremendous amount of discipline. And there was a moment there when I thought, hmm, I might, but then I looked back and said, no, 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 I made this commitment. I'm going to take this through. And now I feel great that I have gone through. But I bring this up because to recreate ourselves, I took that, it's like cold turkey. It was a huge change in my life that I had to adapt to. I didn't realize when I made the decision that it was going to be such a big deal.
Hmm.
It has been. I feel great that I'm sticking through it and I'm going to finish it. Okay? Because I'm trying to recreate myself. And now I know about welding and this and that. I'm an amateur, no way around about it, but I've learned an awful lot. Um, but when you bring about a sudden change, drastic, and you dump it on some people, because I experience the energy that you need to have in order to go through it, some people may not have the wherewithal to withstand it,
Well, the
and
difference is
they'll
that,
quit.
yes, the difference is that you uh, can quit also, but you put that change, you chose that change.
I chose that
And
change.
Law 48, 45, sorry.
45.
Law 45 has to do with
We're almost at 40.
implementing change that will affect other people,
Exactly.
not their will.
Right.
You're putting something on them now. Hey, this is the new way we're going to do things. You with Law 25, you're talking about, hey, I need to improve myself, recreate
Self,
myself.
right. I
It's
wanted to
still
do some.
hard,
It was very difficult. I
and
had no idea.
it also has a trickle effect on the people around you because they were used to you being available at a certain time or you doing this or that, and now you're not. So it does affect everybody,
It
and
does.
that's not something that they chose.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's no joke. The
but
instructor is an excellent instructor.
yeah,
He owns a very successful business in the area. He
yeah,
does metal fabrication
yeah.
for a
I think it's
living.
great.
And he's a really cool gentleman. Um, but he's there to teach, and
Right,
he realizes that there are some of us that don't know nothing, and there are some there that know a lot, and there are some young people there that are taking that course in order to advance in their
right, right.
jobs. So
So
it's a serious business. But getting back to the law,
going back to it, because I think that
actually, I've seen both
with
sides, Michael.
well, what I was gonna say is that the other side to this law is doing things cold turkey.
Take it
Um,
or leave it. I've seen it.
right.
You don't like it?
The problem though is I think that can create resentment,
For
and
sure.
instead of maybe being smooth. But when you're talking about like recreating yourself or when you're talking about making a change, I think it is very, very different to distinguish you doing it to yourself
Right.
versus imposing your will on other people. Robert Greene brings up Cardinal Cromwell, Thomas Cromwell, which I had
Right.
never heard of,
Mm-hmm.
and he was basically the aide to King Henry VIII,
Correct.
his right hand for many things, which eventually he helped. King Henry VIII get a divorce, which was his main goal, from I believe Catherine of
Yes,
Aragon,
Catherine of Aragon.
because he wanted to remarry, and the church didn't allow that. So Thomas Cromwell was able to aid the king in establishing a new church where the king was the head of it, and granting this sort of divorce, or annulling the marriage. I'm
Right,
sorry.
annulling the marriage.
So I think it's really interesting though. But you brought up recreating yourself, and I remember um, the story of your dad, my grandpa, that when he was a smoker, he liked cigarettes, and I guess one day he went up to the machine, put in the money, the machine didn't spit out the cigarette pack, he hid it or whatever, it didn't come out. He said, "I'm gonna stop smoking here." That's the story,
Yeah.
right? That's drastic change. But this was also a different type of, like you say, stock. These the people from before were hard.
They were
They were
we're
hard.
nothing. We're a bunch of wusses compared to what our parents have been.
Yeah.
And you're talking, the story, but for the young people that are listening,
Hmm.
in the old days, way back when God created the heavens and the earth, they used to have machines with cigarettes, that
Dispenser, right?
dispensing machines with packets of cigarettes different. And you would put in your dollar or whatever, your 70 cents, 50 cents. It was very cheap back then, and you would pull a lever, and then you would get like a little package of cigarettes.
Right.
Okay, because you're saying, oh, he didn't get the cigarettes from the machine. Some people might be thinking,
That's
what are you
true.
talking
I'm
about?
thinking like it's like a vending machine is what I was thinking.
Right, it is like a vending machine.
Yeah.
Like Cokes and stuff like that, but they used to dispense
Yeah.
cigarettes. And so my dad, he took a break he was an engraver at the Herald Examiner. And so he took a break and went to get some cigarettes, and he put his money inside,
Right.
pulled the lever, and nothing came out. And he got really upset, and he hit the machine like 2 or 3 times, and he says, "That's it. I'm done smoking."
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of people that can do that.
No.
Um,
I think it's
because you
real.
need that nicotine fix,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah. I think that it is very interesting, and I think you need to know, are there some people that maybe they don't want a slow change? Maybe when you're going to implement a change, they rather have the cold turkey approach. And I think you need to figure out who this type of people are, or what will be most effective in this case. I think in some instances, maybe cold turkey is the best way.
Well, I'm
So,
here to tell you today that cold turkey, if I won't use the cold turkey approach ever again in my life. I don't think I've ever done it because it's been done to me. I had a couple of managers. Um, I had one manager in particular that I never will forget. This gentleman, extremely abrasive. He made a huge change, and when there was resistance from the agency force, the sales force,
mhm,
you know, he turned around and looked at a couple of us. He looked at me and another guy and maybe one more guy. We were in a corner, and he looked at us and said, "Hey guys, if you don't like the change," and I'll never forget it, he said, "There's the door. Don't let the door hit you on your way out. So go ahead and get the heck out of here quick enough so that the door when it's swinging doesn't hit you on the way out. This is it. This is
yeah,
the it was. I
not a good
remember.
approach.
Oh my, it's not good.
No,
It's not good.
I would say in general, it's not.
I would say a gradual.
Yeah,
uh, But on the other hand, if this is a legislative situation that they give you a
right.
deadline,
Well, you
you
have
have no
awareness,
choice.
but you have awareness of it.
That's
That's
true.
why, like the sunsetting that I'm
Yeah, yeah,
talking
yeah.
about,
That's
they would be like, oh, in the corporate setting, I remember they were dropping our commissions on the sales
oh.
of life insurance, and I was still working for somebody, so it didn't directly, I didn't get the notice directly, but I knew of it.
Hmm.
And then uh it was a big change. Like we're talking about, like, I remember it being like maybe a 30% drop in
That's
commissions.
huge.
Yeah.
Huge. That'll affect anybody's
Oh,
income and lifestyle and family
major,
and
major. And so what happened
You
was
go
that
from making 100 grand
yeah,
to making $70,000.
for doing the same amount of work. And then but what they would do is they would say, hey, this is going to be implemented starting this year. So you have another year with this, and
To
next year we're going
prepare.
to put these new plans. Yeah, so they kind of give you, and I think that's the way to do things. People were very upset with this. They didn't like it. People left. I mean, there's somebody that we know in insurance that I remember, he was like a top producer for auto insurance. And I
Mhm.
remember you saying that when the insurance company that you guys worked for stopped writing auto insurance for a period of time in the early 2000s or whatever that was, he said, I can't write auto insurance. Then I'm going to leave the company. And he did.
And he did.
And he did. So some
And
people,
let me say something about that,
yeah,
since you brought him up. He's a dear friend. We haven't talked for a long time, but every time we see each other, it's just a very, heartwarming. Uh,
he's a good guy.
he's just a great guy. He was the. There's some people that are touched by God. I think this kid was. He was a number one auto writer for a Fortune 500 company that we worked. We won't say the name, and that's a big deal because he was the number one in the district. He left our company and went to another major, huge company
Hmm.
and became the number one writer for that company also. But look at where we are today. That company has announced that they can't write any policies, or, and their underwriting guidelines has gotten so strict.
Maybe he'll switch again.
No, I don't think he's going to switch again because
He was at a different time in his
yeah,
life.
he was very young, and
Yeah.
I think that switch was somewhat impulsive because he could have done very well staying where he was. Okay,
Maybe,
but
but
anyway, he
maybe
did.
we should ask him because maybe it was the best thing for
Maybe
him.
we should interview him.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't we? You
Maybe it
know,
was the best thing for him.
maybe he's the only one that can say. I know that he's been very successful where he went,
Yeah.
and that's another thing. The characteristics of some of these people, they're going to succeed wherever they go.
Correct.
Okay, because these people are entrepreneurial. They're go-getters. They are interested in solving problems. They're not interested in just sitting and,
Hmm.
lamenting because this and that and whatever. They're not going to waste their time there. They're going
Right.
to try to figure out a way, and if there's a way, they're going to find it, and they're going to be successful wherever they go,
I
you
agree.
know?
Yeah, I agree.
But it'd be
So
interesting to talk to him.
yeah, I think
Bring him on board and interview him.
there were a couple other quotes that I thought were pretty powerful. One of them was, never underestimate the hidden conservatism of those around you.
Hmm.
Um, People are all, yeah, yeah, let's do it, let's change, but deep down, maybe they're not really for these changes that one is trying to implement. Um, from what I've seen, just let's talk about insurance, let's talk about real estate. The changes only seem to restrict the earning potential of somebody in those industry. It seems that way. Now you have the people that when that happens, they look at it as an opportunity because people are exiting the business. Like in real estate, there were over 160,000
Last year.
realtors that left from last year to 2024. Something along those lines. People can
And
look
in
it up.
2024, there's going to be a huge amount of realtors
So
exiting the business, I think.
some look at that and say, hey, that's opportunity.
It is
There's
opportunity.
less people in
Oh, for sure.
this and that. So, but typically change, people are resistant to it. I'm trying to
Yes.
think of when has change been, I mean, it's essential, but when has it been, let's say, in commissions, if we're talking a business, when has it been an increase in commission?
No.
It's
Uh,
usually,
my experience is that commissions get cut.
it seems that way.
Yeah. And they don't go back.
Seems that way.
Yeah. So there's a so what they're doing. So for the public that's not familiar with some of this, I'll tell you in 60 seconds. When they cut your commissions, they're cutting your revenue.
Right.
And what they're trying to do is not lose the top tier of the salespeople. So what they do is they scale it, and they tell you if you write X amount, you're gonna get 5% if your commissions were 20, and then if you bring in another line of business, you're gonna get 7%, and if you do this and take the full payment, you're gonna get
They make it
12%.
harder
They
to
they
get the same commission.
they make it very hard. You probably are not going to end up with the same commission no matter how hard you. Well, I wouldn't want to say that because that's a
It's
negative thing
very
and you want to
difficult.
deal in positives only. But they make it very difficult. So
Yeah.
for the old timers, when you're going from 20%, let's say, to 5%, and then you have to grow from that 5% according to some of the things that you have to do,
Yeah.
that's
Drastic.
not good.
But then you have the other,
Took
you have
more than
the,
60
like,
seconds, but
it's kind of like with King Henry VIII, the people didn't have another option.
right,
It was either that or you can get executed. Which, by the way, we should say his right hand ended up being
beheaded.
beheaded.
Yeah.
Cardinal Thomas Cromwell.
Well, he made too many mistakes,
Well,
and the king held him accountable according to the king. He didn't like the stuff that
what happened was that the way I understand it
he
is
brought
that
him an ugly wife.
that was the biggest mistake. That he showed a portrait that was painted by some famous painter to King Henry VIII of the portrait was of who?
Is it?
Uh, I did
I forget who it was. An Anne Boleyn, right?
No, I don't have it right here, but
Yeah.
and
Anyway,
so he ends up agreeing to marry her, but when he meets her in person, he thought she was
yeah.
ugly, and he blamed Cardinal Thomas Cromwell. But one of the things that Robert Greene brought up was that Cromwell was trying to implement his own agenda, and he pushed too hard.
Too hard.
He didn't make the changes, and the agenda was, I guess, breaking from Rome and the Roman Catholic Church, right?
Yes.
And the change was too drastic to the people that they started resentment. Later on, King Henry ended up, on the day he beheaded this gentleman, Cardinal Thomas Cromwell. He remarries on that same day, and in 1540. Later on, King Henry apparently regrets killing Cromwell because the ministers put up false accusations towards him. Cromwell had created so many enemies within the
Court
the court and just in general with the public that false accusations came and many other things came that
to
led to
Henry VIII or
uh,
to Cromwell.
Cromwell.
Okay.
And Henry VIII actually later on apparently says that he regretted executing this guy because he allowed those ministers to make all these accusations and he took that as truth. And but the problem was this guy had it was too late. He had created too many enemies.
Yeah, that's
Thomas
why,
Cromwell.
we've listened to many people over the years, you and I.
Yeah.
There's something that Grant Cardone has said that I took to heart like the minute he said it. Because sometimes, you hear something, words are extremely powerful,
Yep.
okay? They say, you know, the words are more powerful than the sword, right? So the pen is mightier than the
Oh,
sword,
yeah.
okay? So Cardone is very abrasive. He's not as abrasive now that he's older as he was in the beginning, I think, but
Mm.
he's still pretty, you know, he's
There's a lot of controversy with
one
him.
tough dude. But what he said many years ago that I took it to heart was be careful who you take advice from.
Yeah. Yeah, I took that to heart.
That's brilliant. And you have these advisors to the presidents of countries, you have advisors to the kings of countries, and queens and this and that, and you're listening to these advisors and you're thinking that they're telling you what's in the best interest for the crown or whatever, but they have hidden agendas.
Yeah.
Robert Greene says it all the time, you know? And so you listen to a wrong advice and you implement it, it could be your detriment. It could be your detriment,
Yeah.
you know? And I think you said something before, you Cromwell took it too far.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anytime you take anything to the extreme, it's
Well,
it's a problem.
the argument would be that he could have done that. He could have gotten that result had he done it over time. And actually, it did occur. It took 100 years, though.
He was ahead of his time.
He did it too fast. He implemented the changes too fast. He took from, I guess, all of these, they were monasteries, and he took them and basically gave them to the king. So he just took from everyone, took the wealth, everything, and gave it to the king. And this is drastic changes instead of it occurring gradually, which it eventually did occur 100 years later. So um, here's another quote: "Change is upsetting to the human animal, even when it is for the good, because of insecurity and threat." There's a lot of insecure people out there, and when we see change, we feel that somehow it's a threat to our existence or
Our revenue, being
revenue.
able to feed our families,
Yeah,
we're all insecure
yeah,
in some place,
yeah,
you know? So
absolutely.
we have insecure, everybody. If you, the laws of human nature, right there, you know?
it,
We don't know which book we're going to use next, but the laws of human nature, he says, we're all insecure to one extent or another.
yeah.
And, you know, you just need to be careful that the person that like the other law, be careful who you offend. That's law number 19, I think. You have to be careful who you offend because these insecurities, you offend somebody, these insecurities will provide the fire and nurture this hate. And some people will take a lifetime to get back at you. That's law 19 for those of you that want
you
to go back and look at it.
you remind me of in The Godfather 2,
Hmm.
spoiler alert, in The Godfather 2, Robert De Niro,
Okay.
who's playing Vito Corleone,
Uh-huh.
goes back to uh, Sicily to avenge the killing of his mother that occurred when he was a kid.
Can you imagine?
And he found the guy that who was an old man now and deaf, could hardly hear him and anything, didn't know who he was, and he kills him because he lived with that since he was a child, and he wanted to put closure to it, I guess,
So he shows up 30 years later when that guy's an old,
and kills him. You know,
yeah.
which
And if you think that that kind of stuff doesn't happen, I got news for you.
well, that takes me to Machiavelli.
Okay.
Somebody recommended, which thank you for the book recommendations. We're really taking them all seriously as to our next series.
Oh, the prince?
Somebody recommended The Prince.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you.
Machiavelli says, look, if you are going to make changes, let's say even drastically, you must create a new set of values. And Machiavelli, it's very controversial because a lot of what he says is, look, sometimes when you conquer a people, the only way to really end, let's say, some of this resentment or whatever that will be built up is you annihilate, a portion of that population. um, you completely clean house. I mean, it's pretty dark.
Yeah,
But he was writing The Prince to try and I think he wrote The Prince when he was in exile, right?
I think so.
He was
Yes,
writing
yes.
it to
He's trying to get back into,
the good
I
graces.
think the Medici maybe? He was trying to get back into good graces so they could hire him as a consultant to the court or to the king or something like that. Because he was in exile, yeah.
Correct.
Uh,
He was
because in Venice, the powers that be had been overthrown by um, other people.
oh, it was published 5 years after his death. I didn't know that. But
But he wrote it
Yes,
He wrote it while in exile.
he
And some of the excerpts of it he would send, I think, to the king so that he could get back into graces
yeah.
with him, for sure. Yeah. So you are right on that.
Yeah, he was I think it was it the Medicis
I,
that he was
I'm
trying
not
to.
sure. I don't want to say I said already, but I think. I'm not sure right now.
Yeah. But he had been kind of cast out and he was like you said trying to get
Get back
back.
into graces. But having made that decision
Yeah,
to go in,
it was to win the favor of Lorenzo de Medici,
okay,
then governor of Florence,
there you go.
which Florence at that time was like a powerhouse, right? Florence,
Yes,
Italy.
right.
And so, when one thinks like, oh, Florence or a city or something, no, this was like the power they
Yeah,
controlled.
economic, for thinking,
I think a lot of
business.
trade was,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. But you were saying, I'm sorry,
Yeah, no, no. But what I'm thinking is anybody that simply, if you can, the changes should be made smoothly,
over
like
time.
a small wave, you know?
Hmm.
You may not be able to do it based on external factors. For example, legislature is a big one. We know a friend that uh, some law was changed in California and it killed his business.
Yeah,
He was in the
bail bonds.
bail bonds. So the bail bond business was extremely profitable for a long time, and then
There was a zero
yeah,
bail law or
I'm not
something.
sure exactly what it is, but I know that his business is nailed to. I mean, it's
Yeah,
so legislature, it's an outside force.
yeah,
Also, capital. Sometimes you need to make changes based on capital expenditure. You may not have the capital to continue to run the business because this thing was hit, boom, and now it's no longer there. We're watching something on Netflix right now where a huge international corporation is in need of capital, an influx of capital like immediately. And we're not talking nickels and dimes. We're talking about something like $100 million or $90 million. $90 million, some people would say, well, that's not that much. But go find it, go look for it as an influx of capital into a company to save the company. And the investor is going to say the first thing is, what do I get in return?
right.
What am I going to get back in return? And that investor will have an agenda. So you have to be careful when you get that kind of revenue coming in. um, are they planning on a takeover? Because
Right.
you're diluting your company. So anyway, I don't want to get away from the law.
Yeah.
It's just making changes, and I'll say this, and we can. You have other things to say, but having jumped into that class, cold turkey, like I did, was a great thing for me, and I love it. There were a couple moments there when I thought, oh, this is a lot or whatever, and I stuck with it, and I feel great about that. But having done it cold turkey gives me the vision that I will never do that in my businesses because um, a slow change is better than a sudden change, an abrupt change, if you can weather it, if you can help it, because it takes a lot. And
Yeah.
I would never tell anybody, there's the door. If you don't like it, don't let the door hit you too fast on the way out, or
Hmm.
because that was said to me many, many years ago, and it was very unpleasant
Yeah.
because I had there's no security when somebody tells you that. They just don't care if you stay or go. There's no pride of ownership or anything like that. You're just
Yeah.
so not good.
I agree. And I think where would people use this? Like, where would this apply to people? Let's say that you don't run your own business, you're not making decisions for a business, but it could be for your household.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to make a change in, let's say, in the household for your family. Still, like, if you make a drastic change, maybe you're going to get one is people are on board with it, the other one is You're gonna get resistance, but they do it, or the other one is they say, "No, I'm not gonna go with that.
Oh, well, very
I'm
easy.
out."
You can tell one of your kids, hey, I don't want you in at 2 in the morning anymore. I want you in at 11 o'clock the latest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what are you going to say? If you don't like it, there's the door. That's very dangerous, right? Because if the kid says, okay, I'm taking off, now you got a problem.
Right. So maybe you can gradually work your way to that, or
Yeah.
whatever the case is.
Hey, you've been staying out till 2, 3 in the morning, or you've been staying out till 2, 3 in the morning and you're coming home and you've been drinking too much. I
Hmm.
don't want you, to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
you
think.
gotta, there was a in the, like I say, I'm on the internet way too much time for my own good. There was a video of a mom that took away the cell phone from a 12-year-old, and he went into such a rage that he destroyed the house.
Jesus.
And she took a video, and the house is complete. Every room is wrecked. Broken mirrors, broken TVs, things on the floor. Everything is on the floor.
See,
And
I
this is a 12-year-old that the mom took the phone away.
see. I think I blame both in that situation, because one can easily say, "Look at the 12-year-old did this." Yeah, but
Yo
how
le
did it
parto
get
la
to that
cabeza.
point? How did it get to that point?
Yeah, yo le parto la cabeza.
Well,
I would have stopped him real quick.
yeah, but both are to blame, in my opinion, without knowing anything about it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it,
Anyways,
so it's very difficult to
but
and
this
everybody's got something that they're going through, and you just don't know what people are going through. So,
absolutely.
you know,
So I this is a great one. Thank you everybody for listening, subscribing, commenting,
listen
liking,
to Law 25.
sharing. Law 25 is one that you live by, we live by, constantly trying to recreate. And we'll be back next week for Law 46.
We're almost at the end, huh?
Almost at the end.
All right.
It's been fun. Thank you.